Okay, so it's August 7th, 2025. Who's echoing? I'd like to call the planning board meeting to order. Introduction of planning board members and staff. To my far right is Doug Cook, Beverly Bookin, our vice chair, Jane Ramson, Rick Noonan, the chair, Greg Catamatori to my immediate left, David Rosen to my almost immediate left, and then our senior planner, Eric Heinleger. First on the agenda this evening is A&R's site plan reviews and preliminary subdivision plans. First item is an approval, not required, plan submitted by Energy North Incorporated to combine property at 40 Sargent Street, 46 Millet Street, and I'm going to turn this off. Please bear with me. Thank you. 46 Millet Street, 10 Gale Road, and 131R Gloucester Ave, and 18 Gale Road. Assessors map 231, lots 3, 18, 22, and assessors map 1 and 18, respectively. And this was withdrawn by the applicant without prejudice.
So you might recall this from many, many meetings back, or it may have been continued almost immediately upon the filing. There was a proposal that went to the Zoning Board of Appeals for some relief to create a new A&R application that would comply. They withdrew that application, and they're kind of rethinking things, and they've withdrawn this one as well. So just a motion to accept the withdrawal without prejudice.
I move that we accept the withdrawal without prejudice of the A&R plan submitted by Energy North Incorporated.
Motion by Jane Ramson.
Second.
Second by Beverly Bookin. And is Sean here?
Sean is
Yes.
remote, so we need to do a roll call.
Vote, please.
Member Noonan.
Yes.
Member Remsen.
Yes.
Member Bookin.
Yes.
Member Cook.
Yes.
Member Henry.
Yes.
Member Rosen.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for that. Next under A&Rs is an A&R plan submitted by John Brook, care of Bona Usaro, and Associates for a lot line adjustment at 5 Drum Hack Road, assessors map 136, lot 68. We have representation for this.
Yes, this is Bill Bonacorso representing John Brook.
You, sir?
And this A&R plan is being submitted in connection with a proposed expansion of the existing structure, which we need in order to comply with side setback. These lots are in common ownership, and it's a approximately 6,624 square foot strip. And I believe it meets all of the A&R criteria. And as I say, it's part of a potential renovation of the main house.
Sir? Any highlights on this one, gentlemen? David?
Does it leave the second lot with the smaller building on it still a conforming lot?
I think that building is still conforming. I think that my memory is that building is it's kind of a maybe like a shed that's been there for quite some time, but I do believe that it would continue to be conforming. Yes.
I'm less concerned about the building as whether the lot requirements are still conforming in terms.
Yes, they are. That's what I've been told by the surveyor.
Okay,
And
thank you.
just to follow up on David's question, unless I'm missing it, is there somewhere on this plan that indicates what zoning district this is in? Or Greg, do you know?
I'm blowing it up.
I believe they're an RC40, but I don't see the.
Oh, it's Eastern Point?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
It does look like RC40 on the map.
Yes.
The lot in question, David, is 78,000. So we're not conforming, we're not creating a non-conformity with the A&R, is the question. Any other questions? Want to take a stab at a motion?
Yep, I move that we approve the A&R plan submitted for a lot line adjustment at 5 Drumhack Road.
Second.
We have a motion by Jane Ramsden. We have a second by David Rosen. Roll call vote, please.
Member Noonan?
Yes.
Member Remsen?
Yes.
Member Bookin?
Yes.
Member Cook?
Yes.
Member Henry?
Yes.
And Member Rosen.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
So next on the agenda this evening, it's an A&R plan submitted by Augusta Salvatore Bravo and Elena Martin Ventosa for a lot line adjustment at 46 Castleview Drive, Assessors Map 257, Lot 226. Sir, the floor is yours. Just name and address for the record. If you don't mind speaking directly into the microphone, you can move it over too if you like.
You can also take it out. Is it not on?
There we
Is it
go.
on now?
Perfect. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, members of the board, my name is Mark Burke. I represent Augusta Salvador Bravo and Elena Marti Ventosa of 46 Castleview Drive. And I don't know whether Mr. Hurdle is going to put this up on but this A&R is regarding a small strip of land in the corner of my client's property, which is being purchased by the record owner of 44 Castleview Drive. And there was a variance which was allowed by the ZBA on June 12th of 2025, and it's recorded with a certificate of no appeal. The certificate of no appeal most recently, I think it was on July 25th, if I recall. But that's what this submission is basically summarizing.
So again, we're not creating a non-conformity by lopping off that portion, right?
No.
Okay, fantastic. Any color from the planning department? Questions from the planning board members? Seeing none, accept the motion.
I move that we approve the A&R plan submitted for a lot line adjustment at 46 Castleview Drive.
We have a motion,
Second.
motion by Jane Ramsden, seconded by David Rosen. Roll call vote, please.
Member Noonan?
Yes.
Member Remsen?
Yes.
Member Bookin?
Yes.
Member Cook?
Yes.
Member Henry?
Yes.
And Member Rosen.
Yes.
All right, thank you, Counselor.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the board.
Thank you. All right, here comes the exciting stuff. This is referral of comprehensive permit. So Harbor Light Community Partners, DBA Harbor Light Homes, for a comprehensive permit pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 40B, to construct a 29-unit senior affordable housing project at 256 Main Street here in Gloucester, Assessors Map 13 in Lot 9. And so I think we have representation online. Andrew?
Yes. Hello. Can everybody hear me?
Yep. Just
Great.
Name and affiliation for the record, please.
Sure. My name is Andrew Leonard. I'm the Director of Real Estate Development for Harbor Light Community Partners.
Thank you. And I just want to let the record show that David Rosen is abstaining for this discussion. Thank you, sir. Floor is yours, Andrew.
Great. So I will share a presentation I have just to run you through sort of the basics of the comprehensive permit application. Let's see. Are you all seeing my screen now? Yes. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay. So I'll give you sort of an overview of what we submitted to the ZBA, and we had our first meeting with the ZBA on the 31st last week. And so this is a presentation very similar to what we gave that group. So just very briefly about Harbor Light Homes. Harbor Light Homes is our doing business as name. Our official name is Harbor Light Community Partners. We are an affordable housing developer here on the North Shore, so we're based out of Beverly. I'm sorry I can't be up there with you tonight in person. But we develop and manage our own affordable housing. So we do not do market rate housing. We're strictly affordable housing. The type of building we're submitting here is pretty much right up our alley for what we do. We tend to do buildings from the 20 to 45 or so range, typically for seniors or for families, all low income, usually with tax credit financing. Like I said, we're here based in the North Shore. We pay property taxes on all of our buildings as a means of contributing back to our neighborhoods as part of a good neighbor policy. The reason I like to point out that we not only develop our units but also manage them is that we will be the same neighbor long term. So this building that we're presenting on tonight is very similar to our Harbor Lighthouse building in downtown Beverly. And we've had that one in our portfolio since the 60s. So we mean it when we say we're a long-term partner. It's our intention to stay with these buildings for a long term, so that if you have an issue 10 years from now, the people to deal with that issue. So to give you a sense of our geography, like I said, we're pretty tightly here on the North Shore. We're kind of as far south as Lynn and Saugus. We're doing projects in about every community in between, up through most of Cape Ann and up through Rowley. In Gloucester right now, we have we administer some affordable home ownership units through the Community Land Trust of Cape Ann. And just to give you a sense, we've got senior housing throughout the North Shore. Some of that's more typical, just sort of 62 plus, 55 plus housing, independent living. Some of it is wraps around more services, similar to what we're proposing here. And then we also have family and individual housing. And so in addition to what we're proposing here on Main Street, we have projects in the pipeline over in Ipswich, Rowley, and Hamilton, and Lynn. So like I said, we're very North Shore based. We're very familiar with the area. So to talk specifically about this project, this is a very high view of the Main Street area, but you can see where the red thatched parcel is. That's the 252 to 256 Main Street parcel, not far from where you all are right now, just a short walk away. And just to give you a sense of where it is, a little bit tighter if you come in. So this building here, this is Nelson's. And this is the Black Bear Barbershop here right now. And this is kind of the Gordon's facility all down here, if you haven't had a chance to look at the site. So the history of the parcel is right now it's owned by the Gloucester Housing Authority. And they acquired the land back in 1980 with some financing that necessitated the use of affordable housing. So sort of speaking to the overall timeline of developing affordable housing, is clearly it's a marathon, not a sprint, but the idea has been since the Housing Authority acquired it, that this lot would be used for affordable housing. It's currently a vacant lot that's used for parking. And I'll talk about that a bit more. We're very sensitive to the fact that parking's being lost for this section of Main Street. So back in 2022, the Housing Authority sent out a request for proposals for a developer to put senior housing for seniors with some more intensive needs on this site. Harbor Light was awarded the right to develop the parcel in the summer of 2022. And since then, we've been working through some issues on the due diligence side and developing drawings to the point where we can submit it for zoning just this summer. So to give you a sense of what we're proposing, it's 29 affordable homes. They're all one-bedroom units, and they're all for seniors 62 plus. Like I said, this is all affordable. So what we're proposing right now is a baseline of 16 units at 30% of the area median income. So for a single person, that's about $35,000 in income. Realistically, though, this 30% AMI population is going to be supported with vouchers. So that'll be Section 8 vouchers and Massachusetts Rental Voucher Program vouchers. And, you know, our ability to offer these units at 30% AMI is based on that voucher availability. But we think that 16 is sort of the minimum we could receive. We will try and do more to make this more deeply affordable. But the status of voucher availability is certainly up in the air right now. But our proposal is that a minimum of 16 are at 30% AMI. The remaining 13 units would be affordable up to 60% of the area median income. So that's about $70,000 for a one-person household. We fully expect that these will largely be occupied by a single person in each unit. It's possible that some of the units will have two people, but I think given this population, I would expect that the vast majority are single-person households. And again, if we can deliver more affordability through more voucher availability, which seems to be is where the need is most apparent, we're going to try and go deeper on affordability. This will be about a 4-story building. So we're right in the floodplain here. So the first floor is sort of a half floor. It's lifted up above the on-site parking to keep it out of that flood elevation. We will be required to make this an enterprise green community building, which is a sustainability measure. We're also aiming to make it a passive house building. And so what this building, who this building will serve is, it's targeted towards seniors, but it's also targeted towards seniors who have higher medical needs. So it's not assisted living, it's independent living for, with affordable units, but built in such a way that we can easily deliver wraparound services to support residents who have higher needs. So every unit will have the capacity to be ADA accessible. Every unit will have a kitchen, but we're also going to have congregate eating space and a catering kitchen here so that we can offer meals to residents who are less able to cook for themselves. We'll have a library on site, which is an amenity that's typical in our senior buildings. We'll have an overnight staff room. So for residents who require either an on-site, like a home health aide or something like that, we'll have space for them to use that aid to serve a number of clients and have space in the building to use for themselves if they have to stay overnight. We'll have again, this is typical of all our buildings. We'll have an on-site property manager and a resident services coordinator. So the property manager is is a typical function in multifamily housing. The resident service coordinator will help identify needs among the residents and get them connected with area services. Obviously, we've got the senior center right nearby. There's quite a few other services in the North Shore that our resident service coordinators work with. And then we'll have on-site laundry as well for the residents to do laundry in the building. We are requesting the maximum local preference from the state. So that's 70% in the initial round. And we'll have 16 parking spaces. So again, we are very much aware that this site has been used for parking and that the development of the site means a loss of parking in this part of Main Street. Our promise is that our 16 parking spaces will be sufficient for our residents and staff. For this type of building, the majority of our residents, we don't expect to have cars. So looking at other similar buildings in our portfolio that are serving this population, we feel like this is an adequate number of spaces. So our promise is that we won't be spilling out onto the street. We recognize we're taking parking away, but the need for affordable senior housing in Gloucester, we feel is sufficient enough that it warrants the loss of that parking. Excuse me.
Andrew, before you move on,
Sure.
can you just tell me what that last statement is? Can you go back to the last slide?
Sure.
What is maximum local preference from EOHLC? I don't understand what that means.
Yeah, sorry, and sorry for going over that too fast. So the state recognizes that pretty much every town in the Commonwealth has needs for affordable housing within the community. So what they'll say is so all of our housing has to go through is subject to fair housing law and has to go through a lottery to place people in that housing. So you can't exactly say this is only for Gloucester residents. And what you can say is that in the initial lease up phase, we can say that 70% of the units will have sort of an initial preference for people from Gloucester. So, so 70% of the units can have residents from Gloucester basically be at the top of the list for placement in those units. So it's not a guarantee that residents from Gloucester get into those units, but it puts them at the front of the line. And we feel like, based on what we know about the population in Gloucester and with working with the housing authority, there's there's way more need in Gloucester that there'd be no doubt that a high number of Gloucester residents would end up in this building.
Thank you. That's great.
So in our request for a comprehensive permit, I'll just talk through some of the waivers that we're looking for. So the site is based in the high density residential R5 zoning district. So multifamily is allowed, but not quite at this level. So, the standard for seeking a 40B comprehensive permit is basically it comes down to affordability, and you have to say that at least 20% of the units are going to be affordable to households at or below 80% of the AMI. 100% of our units will be affordable at a much deeper affordability than what's required. So we'll be seeking waivers for the following items. ZBA is the sole review board. I mean, basically that's sort of just the nature of how 40B works. This will be to allow the use of a new multifamily building of 7 or more units. So it'll be a waiver from needing a special permit in this case. We'll need a waiver for the front and left side yard setbacks. The building is pretty tight to the property line, so we're about less than a foot off the property line in the front and about 5 feet on the side. That's the Nelson side. Excuse me. But that's pretty typical of this stretch of Main Street. So it does match the character of the street. And then the building height, we're seeking a waiver from that restriction. This would be 47 feet tall, which is higher than 35 that's allowed. But our architect has done some nice work to kind of mitigate the impact of that height on the street. And the height allows for the density of units that's necessary to make the project feasible and to allow to have some greater impact on the affordability crisis. So this is just kind of to the point I was making earlier about the need for affordable housing. These are some of our recent lotteries in the area. We've had 2 in Beverly recently these are for families. But for 39 units, we had almost 1,000 applications, right? Not all of those are eligible, but the vast majority are. So the need is way more than what we're able to provide. Granite Street Crossing over in Rockport is a very similar type of building that had 23 total units and had nearly 500 applications. We had another project in Beverly that was largely senior, had 85 senior units and well over 500 applications. And then we had another senior project in Wenham, which was about 8 applications for every unit there. So there's tremendous need for this housing for Gloucester residents who, many of whom have spent their lives in Gloucester and want to age in this community. So again, we're very sensitive to the loss of parking, but we do really feel that it is worthwhile given the need here. So I'll quickly run through, not to take up the whole agenda, I'll quickly run through the context and the plans. So here you can see the view, sort of if you're standing in front of Nelson's looking at the lot, and that's the Black Bear Barbershop there. Here's, as you're going down Main Street, look at the lot. This is up behind the building on Prospect Square. It's the same view there. So that behind that house is where the lot is. And so here's, you can see the ground floor plan. Right here at the top, the city has a 20-foot easement for some water infrastructure that runs through here. So this is all a permeable surface that would be put in there. So we can't build on top of that because of the easement, so that we're 20 feet off the property line there to allow DPW access in the future. You can see we've got our dining hall space and kitchen space, as well as our property management office and accessible toilets on the first floor. Again, this is slightly raised up to keep it out of the flood elevation. And here is the 16-car parking garage. This is built as like a flow in, flow out space for given the flood concerns, so that the water would come in and go out, so that we're not closing it off and getting rid of the flood capacity. So this is a typical floor plan. You can see we've got our accessible units. We have another office for the resident service coordinator here on the second floor, kind of 10 units on each floor, with the laundry room, trash rooms. But you can see it's a good size one bedroom, about a little less than 700 square feet in each unit, with kitchen, dining area, bedroom, and full bathroom. And so the floor plan sort of replicates as you go up, with a few minor changes, like whereas on the second floor we had the resident service coordinator office, here we have the overnight room for that staff member who might come in from a third-party agency to provide services to the residents. And then this is the fourth floor, which is stepped back off the street a little bit to kind of mitigate the impact of the height. So similar as the other floors, it just has 9 units instead of 10. And on the roof, we're preparing to have solar panels. So here's a look at an initial rendering of what the building would look like. You know, it's got a pretty typical Cape Ann style. You have some of the brick on the first floor to match the building next door. And we've got kind of a hardy shingle and a board and batten look in the front. You can see that a little bit in this view that the building is sort of stepped back in blocks to sort of follow the property line, not be jutting out at any one particular point. And then we have a clock tower to do some sort of placemaking here on Main Street. So here's what the building would look like in front of if you're standing in front of the Gray Center coming down Main Street. Here it is next to Nelson's. And here are some elevations. I'll just note, particularly in this north elevation on the bottom here, the site is very tricky. We've got the easement, we've got the flood elevation, and then we have a ton of rock, right? So this is our great rocky beaches of the North Shore kind of coming through here as we have flood elevation and the ledge. So we're trying to stay out of this ledge and minimize how much blasting we need to do. But that is a consideration. So we're pulled away from that. The site is actually quite a bit larger. It kind of extends all the way back up here and up to Prospect Street up there. But it's not really developable space. So we're staying tight to the area down on Main Street. Here are the elevations from the south side and the west side. And the materials, and I can send this presentation to you all as well. Yeah, and here, just a couple different unit types, but largely the same square footage in each with the same living space called out for, just a slightly different configuration. and that's the mass of the building there. And we'll have some minimal landscaping. We'll use drought tolerant plantings, native species where we can. But there won't be a whole lot just given the location. So you can kind of see back on this slide some plantings here and tucked in on these front spaces a little bit. And this is just the lighting plan. Trying to not create too many bright spots. This is all dark sky compliant lighting throughout the building. It's obviously a security feature for the building, as well as an aesthetic feature. But you can see the type of fixtures that would be used. But we don't want to create any light pollution for any of the neighboring buildings. So that's the overview. And if you have questions, I'm happy to take them now.
Thank you, Andrew. When you got some questions queued up?
I'll just give you a little context of where we are in the process. So this was submitted back towards the end of June and referred to all jurisdictions that would typically have reviewed this project if it had not been submitted as a comprehensive permit. So this would have qualified as a major project for a city council special permit, which it would be referred to the planning board for review and recommendations. So that's why it's in front of you. And any comments or review that you have related to the project will be relayed instead to the Zoning Board of Appeals, who is the sole authority to issue the comprehensive permit. I can tell you just from a staff perspective, thus far, many of the comments from the building department and the fire department will be addressed during a review of a construction plan set to satisfy their codes. The engineering department is developing, I think, a small scope for some independent peer review of some of the utility. It is a little bit complicated with that easement that comes down for access to and how the project will be accessing water, sewer, and to a certain extent drainage. So those are things that I think will probably be fairly straightforward. It's a Main Street location. There's not any utility expansion other than connections. So that's kind of where we are. I would say, seeing in the presentation, and you had highlighted the 70% local preference, that's something that if our inclusionary ordinance was being applied, that's something that we have as a requirement to request the maximum local preference if possible, or as allowed by law, I think is what the ordinance states. And clearly, regionally, as well as in Gloucester, we can see from the presentation that was made that there's a very high demand. And I can't remember if you provided or you actually, not your project, but I think the Y experienced very similar numbers in the tenanting of the 71 Middle Street project. So it's certainly a high demand.
Further questions? So just to get our hands around the vernacular, comprehensive permit also means 40B. And the action that we need. Presentation.
So if you want to take time or provide any comment to the zoning board, this, from the perspective of what you typically would do is you would be the ones making the determination whether there needed to be any peer review of aspects of the project and providing that to the city council and then actually taking on that role and then providing a final recommendation. I think it's fairly limited in scope in this one in terms of, it's more utility connection rather than any significant expansion. But any other comments related to design or the things that you would typically look at for a major project review?
So I guess we need sort of will of the board if we want to digest this a little further. Again, I think we typically just have a sign off on friendly 40Bs or even non-friendly 40Bs. So I guess my opinion, go ahead, Beverly.
I know there are only 16 parking spaces. Is it required to do a traffic study? Not that it would be impactful, but I'm just asking.
Yeah, I think, compared on the existing use of that parking lot and the number of cars that are parked in there, And there is really, the only traffic movement is entering and leaving the site. They're using about the same curb cut, so I don't think there was any significant
I
traffic
wouldn't think there
impact.
would be. I was just
Yeah.
curious if it was required. Thank you.
Jen, quick question. You ran by the plantings a little bit quickly. Did I see some street trees being proposed?
Yes, and sorry, I did because I'm not great on the design end of things, admittedly. But yeah, so let me go back to. So these we would have to work with the city to identify what would be appropriate here, but and where they would fit. Right, we have to maintain the right of way here along the street, but we think it would be a nice feature to have.
We very much agree. More street trees are better.
Yeah, we're happy to provide those and work with the city to identify what would be the right tree.
Any questions from members? Sean?
I think the project looks great. And my hope is that this process goes much faster than the action building up the street did.
Cameron's?
Okay, yep, Cameron's.
Doug?
Yeah, I'd just like to say that I think I like the design of it. I think it looks, it's a little bit more dynamic than you typically see, and I appreciate that. And it's needed, obviously.
Desperately needed. And I think it's a great project.
Also, the additional height is mediated by the setback on the fourth floor, which is obviously intended to do that.
Also
So-
from the slope, from the
from
abutting
the
places
slope
in the
as
back.
well.
Yeah.
Although it surprises me, this is in the floodplain. But-
And just to comment, oh, sorry. I was just going to say to comment quickly on the theoretical loss of parking places and spaces. That this lot was never officially a parking lot as long as I've lived in Gloucester for the last closing on 40 years. And the truth is that there are plenty of spaces one block over on Roger Street that folks who are parking in this now can park and walk the short one block to Main Street once this building is in place. So I think that loss of parking is not a legitimate issue.
Thank you, Sean. Any other comments?
I don't want to seem like we're not being thoughtful about this because we are, but it seems like such a great project. And most of the questions are, that I would normally have or answered in advance. So all I could come up with was how many trees. So I don't know. I think I'd be ready to move it on now unless everybody else needs more time to digest.
You guys share that position? So do we need to simply make a recommendation or?
I mean, Greg, are we missing anything? I feel like it's kind
No,
of.
I mean, again, I think it's so far, it's been fairly limited in terms of things that need to be examined further. I mean, they have made the case for the context of the building, kind of borrowing a little bit from some of the architecture in the area and also meeting their program needs. So, and again, the design of the building is in the eye of the beholder, but I think they've done a nice job of also including some elements and adding some features to it that I think, as Doug has pointed out, it may not necessarily be typical. There's cost to architecture.
It reduces the massing
Yep.
visually, definitely.
And also noting that, this is also a project that was supported by the Affordable Housing Trust. So, they've certainly been in the position of trying to, help assist in meeting some of Gloucester's housing needs with this project.
Say good luck.
Could say, yeah, you can make a motion to recommend that the Zoning Board of Appeals vet, but approve the project.
Okay. I make a motion that the planning board recommend that the zoning board of appeals approve the project as presented with street trees.
Second.
We have a motion by Jane Ramsden, a second by Beverly Book, and I need a roll call vote, please.
Member Noonan,
Yes.
Member Remsen,
Yes.
Member Bookin,
Yes.
Member Cook,
Yes.
Member Henry,
Yes.
and Rosen is recused.
Recused. Okay. I was just going to make that note for the record because I knew it was going to haunt me after the minutes were developed. But Member Rosen is recused himself, not abstained. And I appreciate you not making any comments during your recusal. Thank you. All right. We're on to public hearings.
Thank you, everyone.
Andrew. Thanks, Andrew.
Appreciate
Great
it.
presentation.
Thank you all.
Right. So public hearings, common driveway special permit submitted by Anthony Gigaloni and Michael Fazio, care of Seaside Legal Solutions, 9 and 11 Andrews Court, Assessors Map 237, Lot 49 and 126. So this has been requested to be continued to our August 21st, 2025 regularly scheduled hearing. So I'll accept a motion to that effect.
So moved.
I have a motion by Jane Ramsden,
Second.
second by David Rosen, who is no longer recused. So second on the under public hearings this evening. Go ahead.
Roll call.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. Oh,
We're going to do a bunch of those. Sorry.
Sorry, Sean.
Member Noonan,
Yes.
Member Remsen,
Yes.
Member Bookin,
Yes.
Member Cook,
Yes.
Member Henry,
Yes. Apologies for not being there.
and Member Remsen.
Yes.
Okay. In accordance with the provisions of Mass General Law 41 and rules and regulations governing the subdivision of land in Gloucester, the Gloucester Planning Board to consider a two-lot definitive division plan filed by 20 Main Street LLC entitled Chisholm Court Extension at 20 Main Street, Assessors Map 7 and Lot 94.
So you recall the last time this was in front of the board, you received a presentation from James Pearson from Weston and Sampson with the final, what I thought would hopefully be the final outstanding engineering concerns related to the proposal. The applicant's engineer responded about 2 weeks ago, and that was also then forwarded to our peer reviewer. There are still a couple of outstanding issues that the engineer for the applicant did not have time to respond to. So the applicant late this afternoon, again, thought they were going to be able to be in a position to proceed, but have requested to continue to the next meeting of August 21st.
So I move that we continue the public hearing for Chisholm Court Extension at 20 Main Street to our next scheduled meeting of August 21, 2025.
Second.
We have a motion by Jane Ramsden, secondly by Beverly Bookins. Roll call vote, please.
Member Noonan,
Yes.
Member Remsen,
Yes.
Member Bookin,
Yes.
Member Cook,
Yes.
Member Henry,
Yes.
and Member Rosen.
Yes.
Okay. Next, under public hearings, in accordance with the provision of Mass General Law 40A, Section 5, and the Gloucester Zoning Ordinance, Section 1.11, Gloucester Planning Board to consider the following proposed zoning amendment. Amend the Gloucester Zoning Ordinance by rescinding Section 5.16, Village Overlay District, in its entirety. I'm going to open the public hearing. We've been talking about this for a minute.
So in your packet was the memo of the correspondence to the city council initiating the amendment, which kind of outlined the planning board's position and discussion over the last maybe couple of months. That went from subcommittee then to the full board for discussion and then initiation to repeal. We had the experience of a very limited number of applications being filed, one, over the course of about 20 years that the ordinance was in effect. And then the experience of the board in reviewing that application and identifying a number of flaws with the language of the ordinance and also the room or perceived room for interpretation of a number of the standards. And so at the subcommittee level, there was the discussion of whether or not to try to rectify the ordinance in some way or whether or not to repeal it as it wasn't really the best fit for development in that corridor. And again, over that 20-year period, most of what's occurred has been A&R development. So there's definitely it seems like a disconnect with some of the provisions of the ordinance with its potential applicability.
Thank you, Greg. Jane, I know you put a lot of time on this, if you have some comments.
No, just that the subcommittee talked at length about this, and we just agreed that there was a lack of clarity and consistency in the zoning ordinance. And since it's not used, we'd like to pursue other tools, including our cluster ordinance or our open space residential design ordinance for things of this nature. So just less confusing is getting it off the books.
We are in a public hearing setting. Unless there's any comments from board members at this point, I'd like to open it to public comment. If you are joining us electronically, you can raise your hand electronically and we'll be recognized to speak. We'd ask you to state your name and address for the record and keep your comments under 3 minutes. And since there's one person in the audience, we'll say for or against. And the auditorium's empty besides our beach sticker people. You guys can chime in anytime you like. It's serious business. Changing rules over here. Okay, hearing none. I'm going to close the public hearing or the public comment period.
So the only thing I would ask is if, I think we did a pretty good analysis of the flaws in the initiation. I think there are probably, if the board reiterates them, that the main areas were the lack of clarity and internal consistency, limited utilization, potential unintended outcomes, that I could basically, if you support it, restructure this recommendation if you're recommending to the city council to repeal.
Yes, your memo's great. So absolutely.
Close the public hearing process. Any further discussion on board members? Seeing none. Need a motion?
To what though?
Recommend to the city council.
Okay. Then I move that we recommend that we amend the Gloucester zoning ordinance by rescinding section 5.16 Village Development Overlay District to the city council. Sorry about the bad grammar in its entirety.
Need a second, please.
So moved.
So we have a motion by Jane Ramsden, second by Doug Cook. Roll call vote, please.
Member Noonan,
Yes.
Member Remsen,
Yes.
Member Bookin,
Yes.
Member Cook,
Yes.
Member Henry,
Yes.
and Member Rosen.
Yes.
Thank you, Jane. Thank you, everybody else that was sitting on that forever. Not forever. You guys did good work. Fantastic. Other business. Anything that's unreasonably anticipated? Nothing's anticipated unreasonably. Okay. Red Sox playing tonight? They are. Okay. I don't know. They played last night. Okay. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We have a motion by Doug Cook. Killing me, Jane.
Second.
Okay. Second by Jane Ramsden. All in favor of a roll call vote?
Member Noonan.
Yes.
Member Remsen,
Yes.
Member Bookin,
Yes.
Member Cook,
Yes.
Member Henry,
Yes.
and Member Rosen.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Good job,
Thanks,
guys.
folks.